So starting this lecture, in next few series of lectures, we will discuss rivers in India, and after that we move on to lakes. So when we discuss rivers in India, we will first understand what kind of questions have been asked in past by UPSC. So I have some 10 to 15 questions. So we will identify what criteria and what type of questions UPSC has asked, and accordingly we will strategize our approach and we will head on towards the main topic of rivers. So let us see what type of questions have been asked. So first and foremost, there is this one question from 2019. On one side, UPSC gave us glaciers and we had to match it with the respective rivers. So glaciers, in case of generally Himalayan rivers, glaciers are their point of origin. Similarly, UPSC can give us the origin of a particular river and the associated. So on one side there will be origin of river, and on the other side we will have to match it with the respective river. So that forms our first type of question. Similarly, I have one more question. There is Tista river. Question is on Tista river, and again there is source of river Tista is asked, that is same as origin. Similarly, there is one more statement on tributary and the where this river debounces, right? So let us enlist our first criteria. The first criteria is the origin. Right? So let us move further. There is one more question. Now in this question you can see there is on one side tributary, and we have to identify the tributary for the river Brahmaputra. Similarly, we have to identify in this question tributaries of Godavari, right? So this forms our second type of question. Now moving further, there is this one question. We have to identify which of these rivers are flowing through Arunachal Pradesh, right? So there is on one side there is state and on another side there is river. So this is one type of question. Another variation of this can be, we will have to identify in which states a particular river flows through. So we will have to see that, like in mostly in cases of southern rivers there is this type of question, like they give us a river on one side and we have to identify in which of the respective state it flows through. So this makes our third criteria, that is state and river. Moving further, there is these favorites of UPSC, biodiversity from environment and associated rivers. So in this question there are wetlands on one side and the confluence of rivers on the another side. So that forms one more type of question. We can categorize it as, say, biodiversity and river. Similarly, there is this question on national parks one side and rivers on the other side. So we have to identify which rivers flows through which national park. So we'll simply put these two into one category, that is biodiversity and river. So this forms a fourth criteria. Right? Now a similar type of question on, say, again wildlife and biodiversity, we have to find out for the which rivers, these important rivers in Jharkhand and Odisha, right? So I guess this is on Mahanadi or some Damodar river or something. So again river is not mentioned here, but we can identify the river and the associated biodiversity. So this is one more type of question. So that is again in biodiversity part. Now moving further, this is very interesting question, that is regarding Narmada river. So we have to identify the reasons why Narmada river flows to the west, and these type of questions are largely based on the geomorphic features. Now similar type of question is there regarding Brahmaputra, Irrawaddy and Mekong river and their U-turn, right? So this is one more criteria for us, that is geomorphic feature and the river. Now there is this very simple question, dams on one side, rivers on another side. So these are like very easy type of questions. So this also forms a one more type of question. So we will categorize it as economic importance and river. So these are dams given on one side. It may also happen that UPSC will give us, say, hydroelectric projects, right, or irrigation projects, whatever, right? So let us categorize it as economic importance or features, say, and river. So finally there is one more type of questions, or two type of questions we are left with. In this question, on one side there are famous places and on the other side there are rivers, right? So when it comes to famous places, places can be of religious importance or say economic importance. It can be anything. So we will see places and rivers. So when we said places and rivers, it can be like 3 to 4 type of places, say based on tourism, pilgrimage, and maybe some economic importance, right? So this is one more criteria. And finally there is this criteria. This is one very interesting question regarding the linking of rivers. So these type of questions are asked because something must have been in current issues in that year. So finally we can have a criteria of current issue and river. So you can see that there are 8 variations have been achieved by UPSC in asking questions on rivers. So whenever we are understanding or discussing our river part, we will ensure that we are discussing each and every single item in this particular race. So if we take any of the river, we will identify its origin first, then we will see its tributaries, then we will also see what states it flows through, then we will move on to biodiversity. So we will see that from which of the biodiversity regions that particular rivers flows, such as say wildlife sanctuaries, national parks, or any other special significance, right? So maybe there would be some wetlands also. So forwarding to that, we will discuss geomorphic features of particular rivers. So in case of, say, Narmada, and there are some geomorphic features we have to discuss, such as Rift Valley and others. So also we will discuss some dams, hydroelectric projects or irrigation projects of significant importance. And finally we will see the important places and rivers. So we'll try to have such an holistic approach when we discuss our river topic. So we'll first see now, we'll head to our topic, and we'll see river basins from northernmost tip to the southernmost tip and westernmost tip to easternmost tip. So at the northernmost there is Indus Basin. So this is number 1. Then there is Ganga Basin. In the easternmost side there is Brahmaputra Basin, and just south of that there is Barak Basin. So when we come to west, there is this Sabarmati Basin and Mahi Basin. So these two are distinct basins. And also if you can see, this Indus Basin, it extends to as good as Gujarat. So we have to keep this in mind, that Indus Basin it extends to this particular region of Rajasthan and Gujarat, and we will see why this particular extension is there and associated issues. Moving on, in central India we have Narmada Basin and Tapi Basin. So on one side of Satpura, so there is Satpura, and on one side there is Narmada river which flows, and on another side there is Tapi river, right? In Maharashtra, a major portion of Maharashtra, there is Godavari Basin. This is Godavari Basin. In Jharkhand, Chhattisgarh and Odisha, there is Mahanadi Basin. Similarly, there are like Brahmani and Baitarani Basin and Subansiri Basin. So these all rivers are in this particular part of Central East India. Moving south, we have Krishna Basin. Further south to that, there is Pennar Basin. Again Kaveri, and so there is one more basin. There would be like say Vaigai and others. So we will see what those rivers are further south. When it comes to western coast has its own very small length rivers. So we will see the West Coast Basin. Okay, so these all basins we'll discuss in next few lectures. One interesting part you must be noticing that there is one portion of map which is in dark blue and another is in light blue. So if you follow this line, so this is the line I have drawn in red. So if you follow this line, the darkmost region, it is representing the rivers which are flowing to the west, or they are draining into Arabian Sea. On the light blue region, there are rivers which are flowing into Bay of Bengal, right? And the red line which I have marked here, we call it as a water divide. So what is water divide? Let us see what is water divide. Let us draw this region. These are rivers. Now you can notice that there is a stark difference in the flow of river. So these rivers are flowing to west and these are flowing to east, and the region which separates these basins, so these are west flowing basins and these are east flowing rivers basin, right? And this particular line which separates these basins, we call it as water divide. Fine. So I hope this is clear with you. This red line, it marks the river basins in which on one side there are rivers which are draining into western seas, that is Arabian Sea, and on the right side of this red line there are water basin, or there are river basins which are flowing into Bay of Bengal, right? So I hope you are clear with this. Now let us see what are major rivers in India. We will start again from north. You can notice here there is this river Indus. So we will just identify only major rivers, right? We are not going into micro details right now. As we progress on to each and every single basin, so if we discuss Indus basin, then we'll discuss all the tributaries of Indus and other rivers in the particular basin. So for now we will just see major rivers from north to south. So this is Indus basin also and Indus river. To south of that there is Jhelum, Chenab, Ravi, Bias and Satluj. So this roughly forms the Indus basin. Moving ahead, we have Ganga basin. So this is river Ganga. Then these are right hand tributaries or right bank tributaries. And this is Yamuna, Chambal, Betwa. Again Son river is there. So these are right bank tributaries. Similarly, on left bank tributaries there is Gomti, Ghaggar, Ganga, Kosi, Tista, and so on and so forth, right? So this is Ganga. I hope you can identify Ganga here, right? So this is how it flows. Similarly, if I am to mark Indus river, so this is Indus river, right? Now though it looks very messy, but just follow through each and every single river, you will have a rough understanding of where these all rivers are located. Now moving far east, this is Brahmaputra. It goes like this. This is Lohit. There is this river Manas. We will also see, like in this particular map there are not other rivers are given. So this is Brahmaputra, which is also called as Yarlang Sangpo in Tibet region. Similarly, there is this Barak river, and then there is one more drainage basin which we generally do not include in our maps. These are like some small rivers are there in Manipur and Mizoram which flow in the Irrawaddy. It is also called as Chidwin basin, right? So this is in the far east region. Now coming to central India, central India's major basin is Narmada basin. So this is Narmada, south of which there is Tapi. So this is Narmada and Tapi. On westernmost side, you can see in Rajasthan, this is river Luni. There is one more river south to it which flows through Rajasthan, that is Banas. There is one more biodiversity. This river has a specific region of biological importance. We'll see that what that particular region is. So moving in Gujarat, we have Sabarmati and Mahi. You can see this Sabarmati and Mahi river. So now we have covered a lot of ground in north and central India. Now we will see central east India. So this is Suvarna Rekha, west of which there is Brahmani, Mahanadi, and this is Indravati, right? So this is a basin which covers a large portion of central east India, that is Jharkhand, Odisha, Chhattisgarh, and some portion of West Bengal. There is one major river which is missing, that is Damodar. We will also look at Damodar, right? Now coming back to Maharashtra again, this is Wainganga. So Wainganga is one of the major tributary of Godavari. So this is how Wainganga flows, and a lot of Maharashtra is anyway covered by Godavari. So Godavari has a lot of tributaries as well in this particular region. So this is Godavari basin here. It flows into Bay of Bengal. Moving further, there is this Krishna river. Its tributary is Bhima, Tungabhadra. So Bhima is left bank tributary, Tungabhadra is right bank tributary. Now further south, this is Pennar. Then this is Kaveri. So Kaveri is again very important. So this is Kaveri, and further south to it there is Vaigai, right? So from north to south, these are the some very important rivers. If you can remember all these rivers, that will be really beneficial for your prelims perspective point of view, right? So we will try to understand from where all these rivers originate and what are the various features associated with it. Though it looks very big or a humongous task to do, but if you do it in a very systematic manner, it will be very easy, and once you do it, you will have to, like, you will remember it for forever. You just need to revise it 1 or 2 times only. Now we will jump into the Indus River basin, right? So what our approach will be. So whenever we will discuss any of the river, we will first identify its origin, then we will follow through its path. So as I have marked this path here, then once we have understood the particular path and the flow of river and its origin, we will see that whatever features which are associated with that river. So in case of Indus, let us say that Indus forms the second largest submarine fan. So we'll see what that submarine fan is in the world. So we'll see that particular point. Then also when it comes to Indus, Indus exhibits tidal bores too. So we'll see some interesting facts which are associated with it. Why we are doing these interesting facts and all this integrated approach? Only to add extra to our preparation, right? So all these points will only add content in your prelims preparation. Otherwise, if you do it in very, say, superficial manner, it is like you will do it in very less time, but that is like going to fruit into nothing, right? And that is why we have such a holistic approach. So just follow through it. You will get to know what are the various interesting aspects of particular river, right? So once we have done that, we will then move to its tributaries. We will see what are the right bank tributaries, what are the left bank tributaries, and finally we will also discuss what are the issue of biodiversity, so such as wildlife sanctuaries, national parks, or even say wetlands. In case of some rivers such as Satluj and Bias, there are wetlands. We will discuss that too, right? And one more part is I have left unsaid, that is we will discuss the famous places in the sense we will find out what are the places of economic importance, and then we will also find out what are the places of importance from the cultural point of view. So there haven't been any questions associated with say religion, sorry, any art and culture and river, but we can expect that kind of question, that on one side we will have places of cultural importance and on the other side there will be rivers. So to give you an example, when it comes to Nubra and Shyok rivers, there are a couple of monasteries, Buddhist monasteries in Tibet region, right? So we will see what those monasteries are. Similarly, when it comes to say Yamuna or other rivers, there are places of Sikh pilgrimage, so we will see that also. So our preparation or approach to our preparation will be in that sense, right? So having said that, we will now start with Indus River. So when it comes to Indus River has its origin in this Tibetan part. Now its origin is say Bhokarchu. It is in Tibet, and that is to the north of Mount Kailash. So we can roughly say that Indus River originates in Kailash range or around Kailash range. So that is point number 1. Now the length of Indus River is say around 2900 kilometer, but out of 2900 kilometer only 709 kilometer flows through India. So that is what we have to note. Though this river is very long, or but the flow in India is only limited to 709 kilometers, right? So this is point number 1. Now let us move. So this is the track of Indus River. So it originates in Tibet, then flows through Jammu and Kashmir. A major part of it flows through Ladakh region. You can see that this is Ladakh region. Now as it moves further, it is made by Nubra, Shyok, Gilgit on right side, Zaskar and other rivers. So not many rivers meet it in India on left hand side, but Zaskar is one important river here, right? So it flows and then it goes in Pakistan, and will not go into Pakistan side of this particular river because that is of not much of our importance, right? Finally we'll see where it drains. It drains in this particular point in near Karachi, that is in Arabian Sea. So that is how the flow of Indus River is. Now let us see a few more interesting or a few more important points when it comes to Indus River. So we have seen where it originates, that is Bhokarchu. Now it is called as Garsangpo in Tibet, right? Now we have already said it exhibits tidal bores. So what are tidal bores? So as you have seen in case of ocean or larger water bodies such as seas, fairly large lakes and oceans, they exhibit tidal bores, right? So there is high tide and low tide. Similarly, when it comes to Indus River, it exhibits tidal bores at some places, right? So that is one point. Now another point is it forms the second largest submarine fan, right? So what is fan? So when a river descends from say mountains to plains, it deposits its debris. So larger debris are deposits like this, and on top of which there are finer debris, right? So it forms a fan like shape, which is called as a river fan. In case of submarine fan, it is called as submarine fan. Sorry, my bad. So that was second important point. Now one more interesting point about Indus River is that it has a population, or Indus Basin has a population of river dolphin. So there is species of, say, South Asian river dolphin. So we find this South Asian river dolphin in the area of Southeast Asia. So one subspecies of this South Asian river dolphin is Indus river dolphin, right? So this is one more important point. Now I have said this regarding the biodiversity. So one more important point of biodiversity here is it flows through, or it flows by, Hemis National Park. So Hemis National Park is somewhere here, like not very sure of its location, but it is somewhere here, not there. So this is the probable location of Hemis National Park, right? And Hemis National Park is like, if this is Indus River flows to the north of Hemis National Park, or no, it forms the northernmost boundary of Hemis National Park. So this can be a potential question, right? So this is one more point. Now now moving further, we have seen where this Indus River originates. We also have seen the flow of Indus River, so from which points it flows through, and we also have seen some important features such as tidal bores, submarine fans, Indus River dolphin, and we have finally discussed the important biodiversity areas associated with that particular river. That is, in case of Indus, it is Hemis National Park, right? Now one more point comes out of this, that for what Hemis National Park is famous for. So Hemis National Park is famous for snow leopard. So as and where available, we will discuss all these specific species as well. So we'll not typically go into that particular biodiversity area, but if I have some details, wherever I have some details, I will provide those details to you, right? And then we will also have some special series on those biodiversity areas, where we will discuss all these biodiversity areas in details, right? So this was about Indus River. So I hope a lot of issues we have covered in this particular part. So here onwards we will move to the tributaries of Indus River. So when we say tributaries of Indus River, we will first see the right bank tributaries. So there are typically 3 to 4 right bank tributaries. So one is Shyok, another is Nubra. One river is not shown here, that is Hunza, river Hunza. We will see some another map as well. So these are some very important right bank tributaries. So we will see those tributaries one by one. Okay, so